or how can we make this just leave, or just like keep on going?
Keep going.
So we talk about programming and presentation skills.
I just stopped taking notes. Is that bad?
No, because there was only one question from Module 6 on the test, which is what is a stereotype. So make sure that you start that. We talked about that about an hour and 10 minutes ago. So there are 3 types of programs. You don't need to know this for the exam, but just for an FYI. There are social activities which provide an alternative. There are educational programs which are issue-related but should have some educational component. And then there are awareness campaigns. These happen over a period of time. For example, April was Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so there are a lot of programs that happened on campus. That would be educational and social activities, part of a larger awareness campaign. So what we're going to do, to start off with, is you should see in your workbook a program planning checklist, right?
Checklist?
Yeah, sorry, on page 41. Right? Yes, page 41 of your workbook is a checklist. Earlier in Module 4, I asked you to brainstorm needs. You did that. What you're now going to do is you're going to plan a mock program based upon the needs that you gave me. This worksheet and those considerations on the pages beforehand, the worksheet especially is your guide to planning this mock program. So there's a whole bunch of things you should consider. You should write down. What you're going to do is you're going to come up and get some flip chart paper. You're going to use that flip chart paper to, however you want to present your program to the group. It can be a flyer, it can just be a bullet point list, whatever you want to do. I'm going to give you some time to plan this mock program using this program planning checklist, and then coming back as a large group to present those programs. As a reminder, those needs are, for example, Master Poe, it was doing well in class. FMs, it was sense of belonging. And Mana, it was making campus feel like ham? Oh. Forgot the letter E, I was like, ham. Making the campus feel like home.
Yes, it feels so
Feels like bacon. So it's 5:30 program presentation, as well as take a break. I know we didn't necessarily wrap up Module 6 as in-depth as I would, and I do want to go back and just say I appreciate the dialogue that we had in Module 6. I think we had some great conversations. I think folks were really vulnerable, talking about some of their identities, some of their life experiences, and I think that's what makes these classes worth it, when we can sort of have this open dialogue and talk about, you know, this is kind of what I thought ethnicity was, but maybe it's more race, or maybe it's more gender, or maybe it's more sex. Yeah.
Like, this is a personal question and you don't have to
Yep.
answer it, but like, do you get offended if someone was to like guess that you're gay or guess that you're straight? Like, does that like make you feel a certain way? Like,
No, because I'm very intentional whenever I do a training to not say things like boyfriend or partner or anything that can give it away, because I know that it all leads up to Module 6. I will say,
Do you purposefully do things to try and steer people away from
Like-
the fact that you're gay?
like what?
I don't know, like. How do you get that far?
No, if anything, it's more, I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're going to make any stereotypes. Like, I don't know, ABBA playing or Cher was playing earlier on the music. Sometimes like, ooh,
you
I
did
hope
something
they don't
before.
get that.
You did something before. Like, I think you were imitating like the Hello Girl, and I was like, wow, that was extremely feminine.
Hey girl.
Hey girl, that's
Hey girl.
what it was.
The
And I was
hello
like,
girl.
wow.
I was like, Adele?
You
Yeah,
did like a
you're
hip thing earlier.
And I know this is like stereotyping, but
Yeah.
your theme song was from Wicked.
Yeah.
But like,
So, oh, Broadway's a gay thing.
I know, I think it's stereotyping, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
There, like, honest, like, this goes back to our conversation around like the stereotypes and the assumptions that we make. You know, I know plenty of straight men who like Broadway. And I will admit and I will own the fact that I thought that they were gay because they like Broadway. Because even I sometimes have to rely on some of those stereotypes to figure out whether or not they are or not. And I'm not proud of that, but I sometimes put people in boxes. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I think 1 year Neil Patrick Harris before the 27 was singing a song like
It's not just for gays anymore.
Yeah.
I know that
So
song.
that was the first thing
I like also like the
Great. I
Tonys.
love it.
But
Tony's are
so yeah, I don't even know where it's your question.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm more offended that you got so close to my age because it doesn't have as much of an impact. Because I love when people are like, oh, you're like 32 at least. That's the normally what I get. And everyone's so close, I'm like, oh, that kind of like
well, because like you told
ruins
us,
the whole
you told us
effect
after
of the
graduating
end.
you did 2 years in graduate school,
Yeah.
and then you did like the other 2 years. I forget now. I did the math and it made sense, but.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. Oh, no, you're just scratching your head.
No, I have like I don't know, like, I don't know if this is like, it is a personal question.
Okay,
But I don't know if it's okay to ask.
go for
Can
it.
I ask it?
Yeah,
When you were talking about how
safe
you
space.
went to like the LGBT like prayer groups,
Yeah.
like I'm just wondering like what kind of prayer group it was, like if it was like a prayer group and it was just like members of the LGBTQ community like coming together to like support each other, or if it was like a because like I have a friend who is like also was raised in a very like not Catholic but a very like conservative family, and his
Yeah.
family was also very not accepting and was like made him do lots of things as well, and like they made him go to prayer groups, but they were like pray away the gay kind of prayer groups, and so I was just kind of wondering.
Yeah, it wasn't one of those types of prayer groups. It was.
I was just wondering.
It was-
Yeah.
That is.
It's a Cards Against Humanity card, and my mother gave it to one of my brother's very good gay friends, and he started telling us this whole story about his aunt told him to pray the gay way, and he started crying in it. Super uncomfortable. Never did that. Yep.
So it was not one of those. It was more of an affirming, like just kind of reading the week's gospel and still doing it. But if conversations were to come up about struggling with that intersectionality of our faith and our sexuality, what that means. I didn't go as often, like I said. I remember growing up with homilies very much like not as accepting, and so I still have my own things that I'm working out there. But I have 2 coworkers who are married to one another, 2 men, and they're both Catholic, and they go to church every week. Like they were there on Ash Wednesday and celebrate Lent and all this stuff. So it was a lot about sort of how those identities sort of intersected with folks. Yeah.
Can I like say a few things that I like very stereotypically made me think that maybe you were gay?
Yeah, sure.
The fact that like your shirt's buttoned all the way to the very top. 'Cause I
Okay.
feel like guys who aren't gay, I guess again stereotypically are like, oh like look at my chest hair, like but like you're like all the way buttoned up, so like that was kind of that was did it for me, and
Okay.
because you have really nice hands, even though I know some
That was
guys
totally
have yeah,
Can you hold your hands out now?
No, I'm like actually conscious about
The
my.
facial hair though is on par. That's why I said it.
Facial hair.
It's like the yeah.
And then because your shoes, because they're not the typical like dress shoes that like wives will buy for their husbands, because no husbands won't buy their shoes. They're a type of
That was
Stereotype there.
yeah, no, I know.
No,
but
and you
it's
prefaced
a
it.
type of style. Like you can tell, like that's not like your typical like, oh, I bought these shoes for my husband because he needed to wear them today. You know what I mean? Like they're like, oh, I like you went shopping for yourself. Like you're different. So like that to me showed that you had a sense of style. You know what I mean? And that you, yeah. I
Take that as a compliment.
don't know.
But
And I
still,
know they're very stereotypical, but
it's stereotypes, and just a reminder that whether or not we like fall into a stereotype doesn't mean that we can make this assumption about everyone.
right.
If you met Ryan, you would have thought that he were gay. I thought so for 3 years. He's straight, and he loves women, and I hear about all of his girlfriends. And he falls into everything. Like, he loves Wicked. He dresses better than I do. Like, so recognizing that when one does fall into a stereotype, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same for the whole group. So yes, I might definitely fall into some stereotypes, but not all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, going on that, like, one of my best friends back home, named Tristan, like, if I showed you a picture of him, you would not, like, think, because, like, there is such, like, how gay people should be, but, like, he is this, like, big, muscular guy, and, like, you would think that he was straight and loved women, and he doesn't. Like, he has a deep voice, and, like, you would never think, and, like, it's cool to see, like, a different side, because everyone, like, from media and stuff, there's always, like, this is how gay people should be, and, like, they could literally be anyone, and they're people, so, like, it doesn't.
Who are the tokenized identities that we see in TV? When we see an African actress or actor, what roles do they play? Very similar to the stereotypes. When we see a gay person on TV, what roles do they play? Very stereotype ones, and that's why the stereotypes, they get perpetuated. Yeah?
I know we sort of talked about this earlier, but I just want to say, I think it, like now that we're talking this after you like told us about your life or whatever, I think that it says so much that like, we are all now like, oh, well, like I thought you were gay, but like no one says that. Like no one was like comfortable to say that.
Yeah,
And,
I
like,
think if you told us like write it down privately and
Yeah,
then share it
it
later,
would
that
be
we probably
different.
all would have had it on our paper.
because
Yeah.
even
To
like,
say it right in front of you.
because even things like when we were talking about like mental health, like part of me was like, oh, like I want to say that I thought you had depression, but I was like, but I'm not gonna say that because I think you could get offended by that, like. And
Because
so,
assigning these identities which don't have that historic privilege with them is hard. Because we don't want to take away someone's privilege, because masculinity is so fragile. Manhood is so fragile.
Right. So I think,
Whiteness so fragile.
I
Yeah.
just think it's so interesting because you asked like, because someone would say something and you would be like, oh, like do you guys like disagree with this? Does anyone have anything to say about this? Like, and you specifically did that when like they put a pansexual and nobody like said anything. Like, room was like silent probably for the first time this whole training. And like now we're all like, oh, like we all thought you were gay. Like we knew, we knew. Like, and I just think it just speaks so much to like the fact that like I just think it really it's a good case study. I
It's a
feel.
wonderful observation, and you're such a social scientist, right? Well, I appreciate sort of that debrief. Like, I did not feel well with the way that we ended Module 6, so that's why I wanted to kind of go back. So we've kind of talked about the, nope, the programs that you're planning based upon your needs.
Guys thinking extra time or something like that sort of thing.
Yeah, so then as proof, they would have to, of course, attend the scavenger hunt and take photos with the hashtag #FindTheBurn, which was what the name of what we came up with, on their social media sites, with all of their group members and whatnot. And then, of course, the last 2 steps are make new friends and have fun. I can't read this. Win prizes while having fun. So.
You actually want to do that?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, we did something at FIS where we had to take scavenger hunt pictures like around like the like places. We had them on social media, and it was kind of weird because like it was like the first like week of school, and like Abby and I did it together. But like if I didn't know Abby had to do it, like I probably would have taken like selfies by myself, and people would have been like.
Yeah, like the point of this was like you were gonna get like the list of like your team or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's a better idea with like
Hit them up on
so you can
slide into the DMs.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you. Here's the tape. All right. Who wants to go next? They want to go next. All right.
First year, best free food.
See?
So many
I brought
F's.
it
So
nice
many
and
F's.
Free food.
First year best free food.
Alright, so obviously our thing is first year best. Our like goal was to make students like feel like Albernia is their home and make campus feel like more homey.
It's a good goal.
So we decided that like to do all of that, they need to be comfortable in the residence halls, the classrooms, and with their friends and like extracurriculars. So it would obviously be in PC during what we thought might be orientation weekend. That's what we're aiming for. It would either be on the quad or in the PC, like the brain.
What's the PC? Sorry.
The physical
gym,
education
right
center.
there,
Oh, okay.
across the way.
So it's like basketball court.
Cool.
So there will be like tables set up for the residence halls, the classroom, and the extracurriculars. And in the dorm table, or not the dorm table, the residence hall table, it will have things like how to do your laundry, how to stay clean, how to cooperate with your roommates so there's no like going at each other's necks.
So many freshmen need them.
And there'll be stuff about like locking doors and like how to like keep your stuff safe, you know? And like meal plans are gonna be in there because like meal plans and residence halls like kind of like connect, you know? And then in the classroom table, there's gonna be like organization skills, like stuff that you learn in FIS, and like how to budget your money too, because that works with organization. Time management's gonna be in there. How to like work with your professors if you're like struggling in a class. Some resources stuff is gonna be in there, like the educational like planning place. proper emails, and Albernia's logins, like the POCs, what they were talking about, email, TK20, all that stuff that, you know. And then at the extracurricular table, there's going to be like stuff on healthy eating, clubs to join, sports to join, and exercising, like how to get into the gym, what you gotta know to do, like what's the top level, what's the bottom level, that there's a dance studio, like all that stuff.
And then there's like a separate gym in the.
Exactly. I didn't know that until the start of second semester.
I didn't know that until this year.
It's for athletes, so.
I didn't know that.
Would
Yeah,
you
but
know
it's not,
that?
it's not only for athletes.
Yeah, like you don't
Anybody
have to
can
be
go
an
in.
athlete.
Just go.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So it's like tables set up with like different areas and like they have to go to each table. But what if they skip the like
Well, they don't have to go.
cleanliness table?
Well, like
I mean, they don't
that's-
have to. These are just highly suggested.
Yeah, and like the dorm table, like we made it specifically like residence halls because like and stuff to do within residence halls because that way like commuters can come to it and be like, oh, I don't live in a residence hall, I don't need to go there. But like, you know, stuff like that. And like I'm sure like if we have this thing, stuff will overlap because like people will just get talking and you know.
And like extracurriculars is also is like weekend trips and activities that
Like student activities, like CAP.
the good stuff like that. Bill President Lauren Bolt.
All right. Great job. Thank y'all. Woo!
Chloe, where'd you put the tape at?
I don't know, but I don't know.
It's still back by the fireplace.
Oh my goodness, I really thought you were gonna fall. You look like you were going forward.
No, I wasn't. Okay, so this is the flyer for our event that we are going to be holding. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to kind of focus on the fact that when you're like transitioning from high school to college, like in high school, like it's all like stereotyped that like the kids who don't necessarily get straight A's are like the cool kids. Like you're considered like the nerd if you like stand in front of the classroom, you always raise your hand, always ask questions, got good grades, and then like when you come to college, it's the complete opposite. Like, you know, I'm sure everybody's seen the movie like 22 Jump Street, like when they go back to the college, and one kid was the cool kid when he was younger, but now when he goes back, he's not the cool kid anymore because now like A's are the way. You know what I mean? Like it's not cool anymore to sit in the back of the classroom and sleep and text and all. Like it's important and cool to get A's, and we wanted to get that across to like the freshmen.
But so how we're gonna do this is we're gonna like have a skit kind of to
So it'd be like, it's in Francis Hall, so it would be set up on the stage. It'd be set up like a classroom, and then you have a professor, like a professor, and then you have different students, and of course you want like a diverse background of students. Like you want athletes, you want like academically driven, like different majors, all of that, and just showing them what is the best way to act in the classroom.
Excellent.
There's supposed to be food on that.
All right. Free food all the way. So hopefully now that you've brainstormed a little bit about some types of programs that you can do on campus, you've gone through a brainstorm, you know how to come up with those needs. You can maybe implement something like this for the fall. So you all have homework over the summer now, right? So there aren't any things on here that are the quote most overlooked. Remember the most things, you know. So you might want to write this down or highlight or underline this as we start going into marketing. After. There we go. 44. Wow, I can't read. 44. The most overlooked part of program planning is marketing. What are some ways that we can market events? Flyers are one thing, but like emails, Twitter, well,
By word of mouth.
social
Yeah,
media, word of mouth, professors, going into classrooms and writing on chalkboards or whiteboards. You're not allowed to do that? Extra credit opportunities.
You can't stick flyers on cars either.
Nope.
Can't do that.
You can't write on chalkboards
No, we're not allowed
or
to.
whiteboards?
I know a lot of professors are just gonna erase that because they need to use it.
Oh, I mean, it's great if they erase it, but like someone's gonna see it before they get in there.
I don't think there's
anything, I mean, I don't think like you're gonna get arrested if you go into a classroom and write on the chalkboard or the dry erase board. It may get erased.
It probably will, yeah.
Or
But
even
like,
if we put, like,
I don't think there's any
flyers up above the boards.
You can.
We're not
So-
allowed to write.
So if you can't flyer, like, I know that's one thing, but you can write on whiteboard. Not that I'm encouraging you to do any of that.
Not for an event.
I always like, I don't know, do you have a campus coffee shop?
But
We have Kestrels.
No.
we have Kestrel's courtside, which kept courtside's open until like 2 in the morning. Kestrel's like a breakfast lunch.
Yeah, Kestrel's like a coffee shop.
I've seen some campuses, what they do is they work with the coffee shops or local areas and coffee sleeves. They can purchase, the student group can purchase the coffee sleeves and they can put a flyer on that so that way whenever folks go out, they see a coffee cup that has the sleeve.
I got it.
I'm trying to think of some other ways.
Well, we have magnets too.
Magnets, okay.
Stickers.
So
I mean,
sticker,
like me, like I have a Mac and I put stickers in my laptop all the time.
yeah.
I mean, I like the tiny Macs. I don't like little stickers, but it's hold it out.
why do we want to put flyers on cars? Can we put magnets on cars?
Probably
Really not.
I would be
Flyers.
pissed.
Yeah.
Because magnets, like, at least on all the cars that I've had, magnets have peeled off my page.
Yeah, you can't like stick something on someone's car.
So
Unless you
consider
wanna
what's
put it
legal,
on there.
consider what's not, but see what resources do you have. I love the coffee sleeve idea that, I've seen that on campuses. It's great to go and get a cup of coffee and all it is you take a label and you put it on the coffee sleeve. Some places don't even make you buy the coffee sleeve. Some will just let you stick it on there if they aren't branded already. So it's a good partnership idea. I like post-it murals. I don't know if folks have seen that. A big wall where it just like spells out like the word of what you're doing. Or the dates, and maybe it's got a QR code that people scan. I will post random QR codes around campus that don't have any explanation of what it goes to, and people out of curiosity will just pull out their phone
You download the app.
with your phone.
We're not budget savvy here.
What's a QR
You
code?
need an app and it.
It's like-
the square things with all the different.
Yeah, it's
I can
like
give
a
you an example.
barcode thingy.
So, for example, my
It's like what you see for like LinkedIn stuff.
Yeah.
What?
You use like MyFitnessPal or something, and you can scan the food
Fitbit
calories.
does it too.
So,
Yeah,
like,
Fitbit does it.
here's an old boarding pass that I have saved in my phone. Like that little thing on the bottom
Hey,
is a QR code.
Eric.
Anyone else needs to see what a boarding pass, what a QR code is? No. So that's a QR code. I see people who just post those and then people will go to campus and then just scan what they are and it'll actually take you to an event website.
What's the app called? QR code?
There are a number of them, and so yeah, just going into the
I
app
always see
store.
them and I see people scan them, but I never know like what app to get. Like,
Yeah.
I always thought it was like
You just
something
get any
built
random
into like Apple's like products.
No, so
Yeah.
Apple, Android, any sort of a smart device should be able to read a QR code because basically it's tied to a link and sometimes those links will be a download, sometimes those links will be just to another website. Just want you to start thinking of ways other than flyers to get out the word because marketing is the most overlooked part of program planning. True or false?
True.
True. There we go.
You
All
guys
right.
do for Plod to Pod, you go give invitations to male professors, that's pretty effective. I know in the past for Payback the Nights, you put things actually on people's doors, like taped it to their doors.
Yeah.
That's an effective way, essentially.
So, handwritten invitations or things on doors. Working with Residence Life, some of those other partners on campus to get the word out. So yes, that's the most overlooked part of program planning, it's marketing. In addition, we talked about marketing strategies, evaluating programs. What are ways that we can evaluate programs? Is that at hand?
Oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say, if you guys have like that wallet thing on your phone, you can literally just hit scan code here.
Oh.
So I think it like comes with.
So you might already have your QR code reader, you didn't even know that.
Did you know there's like a thing for an Apple
So evaluating programs. How do you evaluate programs?
I know that like student activities, when they do theirs, they have this download apps and special code. It's a real pain in the ass.
So downloading an app with a special code.
That like at the bingo.
Okay.
At the green bingo, I don't know if you guys went to that, it was like on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
It was like the later one, we had to take a code, and if we filled it out, we got an extra video ticket.
Okay. So when you think about evaluations, yes, you can do paper and pen surveys. An online survey gets about, on average, a good response rate on an online survey anymore is about 16 or 17%. So not very good. A physical paper and pen survey can be an option. When you do that and you force someone to take the survey in front of you, you get a better response there.
I know, like, I've gotten emails for surveys that are like, fill out this survey and you get entered into a raffle thing.
Yeah.
I kind of just do that to see if I win.
Right.
Because I want to win, but like I don't even mind filling out the survey because it's like 5 minutes long or something like that.
It might work for you, but remember, when it's only 16 or 17% of people who are actually responding to them,
Yeah.
so that's good for you, but 83% of folks are still not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, to go off the survey thing, like I went to the career development center and they helped me with my resume, and then like a week later I got, like they told me I was probably gonna receive the survey, and I completed the survey.
Yeah.
And I still get one like every week, and I'm like, I already filled it out. Like, do they necessarily need like a redo, or like I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like annoyed now.
Yep. So be careful with surveys. Try to think of other ways you can assess data. I like Twitter and Instagram. If you have a hashtag, you can search that hashtag and see what people are saying about your program. That's qualitative data right there. Going on Instagram, seeing what people are Instagramming with your hashtag. Whichever group was doing the scavenger hunt, the find the bird, I almost said feel the bird, which is political.
I know, we can that too.
So find the bird. You know, if you take those, go on Instagram, and then you can download those photos. Those are artifacts. That's great data, and that's great free marketing for you in the future. So think of ways that you can incorporate social media into your program planning and your evaluation. So that is sort of programs. Now we're going into presentations. Last part of this module. Rocket science is coming here, folks. There are 4 cornerstones to successful presentations. And more. What? Know yourself. That's one of the 4, yes. But there are also 3 parts to presentations, and that's the rocket science, because the 3 parts to a good presentation: the beginning, the middle, and the end, right? That's the knowledge bomb that I'm dropping on you right before we leave. There's the beginning, the middle, and the end. But before we go into the parts, we have the 4 cornerstones. Those are to know yourself, know your audience, know your purpose, and know your material. You will want to know these 4. They might be in some multiple choice lists, and you need to choose which 4 are correct. Know yourself, know your purpose, know your audience, know your material. Those are in bold. So you might want to write those, or highlight those, star those. When you know yourself, you need to know what your style is. What's your presentation style? What are your skills? What are your strengths and weaknesses? You know, I know that I like to pace around the room. I don't like to just kind of stay stationary. You probably have seen that. I'm currently at 13,957 steps today.
That's also probably because you use your hands a lot.
Well, that's because I'm moving.
I know, it's not a bad thing, it's just like,
Yeah.
You know, so
Counts for extra, you know. It's how I justify the extra dessert that I'm going to have tonight.
the pint of Ben and Jerry's.
I only had a Klondike bar last night, so. But know your style, know your skills, and know your strengths. I mean, I've said that I'm an introvert. Like, I know that when I'm done here, I'm going to put in my headphones and ignore the world and not talk to anyone because I need to get my introvert time back. Also starting to lose my voice, so like I'm knowing myself in that respect as well. When you know your material, you should know your content. Practice makes perfect. I could easily have had this binder and just read at you for the past 10 hours. That would be really, really bad and really, really boring.
Yes.
Hopefully this is not the case. So like, know your material. Do your research. Where can you get this information at? Have statistics and data. Remember those social norms, those descriptive norms, those norms that have the numbers associated with them are super powerful. And then resources. If folks have questions at the end, where can they go for help? Where can they go for resources? That's know your material. When you know your purpose, what is the reason why you're doing this presentation? There's 3 different ways that we kind of categorize this. First is, are you trying to provide information? And in which case you might just be increasing awareness. This could be a social norms campaign or something around that. You're trying to change attitudes, in which case you might want to create emotion. Think of TED Talks. TED Talks are used and useful because they try to change some attitudes and thus create emotion. Were you trying to build new skills? In which case you do some experiential activities. We've done a combination of actually all three of these today. I gave you data and created some emotion. We did some activities. So maybe your purpose is trifold. What was that?
It's because there's so much room for activities.
Yeah, right? All right, know your audience. You need to know what your age is, the knowledge base, the culture, purpose for being there. Are they here because they're volunteering for it? Are they here because they're being paid for it? Are they here because it's part of a sanctioned class and they're forced to be there in order to get off probation or whatever comes to student conduct? You know, I joked a little bit in Module 6 of like I made assumptions of folks whenever I was in the room. I also did my research. Like, okay, I'm going to a Franciscan Catholic institution. I come from right near Franciscan University of Steubenville. Went to a Catholic institution. Like, try to know what that culture is. You know, it's different than when I was working with the students from the HBCU. It's different than when I was at a tribal institution in Montana or a community college in California. Knowing your audience is super helpful and important as one of the cornerstones. And for sake of time, we're going to talk about presenting tips in terms of before you present, you should arrive early. I got here about 45 minutes early this morning. Because if you don't get there early, karma's going to come and bite you and then your technology is not going to work. That's what I have learned, so I always try to be early so my technology works. Arrange the room. Remember, you were all kind of sitting at sort of that back table, and I was like, we should move back up here. Check your AV and then welcome folks. Don't just kind of stand in the corner and ignore everyone. Welcome folks as they come in. Inject yourself in the conversations. Eavesdrop, whatever you need to do. And that leads us to these three parts of a good presentation: the beginning, middle, and the end. Do as I say, not as I do. Just kidding. At the beginning of your presentation, you should think of your climate. Is it a good climate? You know, do you need to turn down lights or windows, open them, anything around that? Warm up, get your audience to mentally be there. Remember I joked we did about an hour and a half of icebreakers this morning? We started at 8:30 this morning, and like it was dead silent for the first module. I was like, ooh, this is gonna be a rough day if no one starts talking after a while. But we did some activities to warm up. Did a few icebreakers, the superheroes, the team names, all that. And then we set norms to make it safe to participate. You don't want to write that down. True or false? Setting norms can make it safer to participate.
True.
True. Good. Yes, we did that with our ground rules, which have been kind of pushed to the side over there. But we set up some ground rules this morning. That was setting norms, and this makes it safer to participate for folks. In the middle, you should have some variety. Vary your structure, your movement, your strategy. Walk around, or just, if you can avoid standing behind a podium. What different things you can do? You can have small group discussions, images, role plays, videos, whatever you want. Remember, that's why I said why I've updated and we've done activities, because after I speak at you for 20 minutes, I lose your attention. So I've been trying to keep it engaging so folks can learn and engage in different ways, have some variety. In addition to the middle, you should have some balance. You know, be mindful of, what is it in the morning versus in the afternoon. You should have pacing, good pacing, plan breaks, take some audience cues. So there have been times I'm like, okay, we need to take a 5-minute break. Also audience cues of, I didn't wrap up Module 6 very well. Let's go back to that. Flexibility, change midstream if we need. That's super important. We had some good conversations in some modules. I kept going for a while, and therefore have gone quickly on a few of the other ones. It's just all about flexibility, making sure that you do what needs to be done in order to make it the best learning experience for your audience. In the middle, this is some information about learning styles. What do you want to highlight or star is this 90% one? Because people know and remember 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear. 90% of what they say as they do something. And that might seem like a trick question on the test, so don't just jump to conclusions when you see that. 90% of what they say as they do. So for example, I've asked a number of times things of like, what are the 5 roles of a peer educator?
Team member,
Friend, educator, activist, role model, team member. See, that's me kind of utilizing this, and hopefully everyone gets a 90% or higher tomorrow. Because you're saying it as you do it and as you repeat it. It's more than just reading that manual or reading your workbook and trying to pick out what's important. And then the end, you should plan a closing, do a perception check, sort of see if folks can relate with what they've learned to what they're trying to do. Evaluate your presentation. You'll see that tomorrow because you can't continue the course without completing an evaluation. Lead time for questions and reflections. That's my important one. I always try to be the last person out of the room. Because I know that there are introverts who don't want to step up and ask me a question from the class. They might come up to me at a break. They might come up to me before I leave. So if I can, I try to be the last person to leave. And then if there are resources or if folks want resources at the end, make sure to give them those resources as well. Before I ever leave a training, I always try to leave business cards if folks want them. Use me as a resource, and I will do that tomorrow. So please feel free to reach out to folks. Have any questions or need anything going forward. So that's the ending. And that's the end! Almost right on time. Before we finish, though, there is one more thing. I know. You just gave me a death glare. So I'm calling you out on that. So what we're going to do before we end, and why no dinner is game stuff, is we've had a full day today. We still have a bit of a day tomorrow. But we're going to do a plus delta. So when you think of pluses, thinking of positive things that you want to continue. When you think of delta, think about change, like chemistry there, right? Yeah. Delta equals change.